Well, my friends, here we go again. Brett the Cat Army is back here at my stairs, you know. Watch, you know it maybe. Welcome to the toughest stairs of them all. Yeah, there is demolition tower, but that is only when we try it out that we succeed to conquer this. But to drain, this is the most tough. We walk them up. Welcome if you are new to the channel. You know, I drain, I do everything. I play basketball, street ball, training, fitness, this, that, you know, skateboarding, whatever. No, here we are now by the training by the Cat Army. First time in this year that we can train on that stairs, and these are my most lovely stairs. That means my most lovely trainings place is here, you know. From all areas what I know, here is my lovely place. And you see maybe why, because I have my kettlebell here. I will show you that. I will show a little bit about the technique, what I'm doing, you know, why I'm doing that, why it is challenging to me. And here we have stairs which are rougher, smaller ones, you know. I grabble them down in Shaolin style, I will tell that. And here we have the long ones, you know. And my goal is demolition tower. These are the most stairs at the other side of the city, but there you cannot train because there are too many people, and then they call the police or complaining all the time, and then you cannot come again. And so I only go there when I try to succeed, you know. And these are the best stairs. Same stairs at demolition tower, you know, what we have here at the toughest. This is called the toughest, you know. Now we walk them up. Always the enjoyment before we start the training. Here I made the toughest training of last year. I will never ever forget this training. The last stairs, you know, I thought I fall down now. After the training I was shaking on my bicycle when I drove home. I had to stop and hold because I thought now it is over, boom. But here the sun now, it is today before midday, you know, we have it 10 o'clock now. And so the sun is only up on the high point, and there we have shadow. Normally there also is sun, and here you can relax before you train, but that is really tricky because, you know, now you have some of the toughest things what you have to do, and here you can enjoy. Now we gone then up, 1, 2, bam. That is amazing, or the view there. And in the last 5 days I did around 14 hours of sport training, you know, to come in again. Yesterday I made a break, I did nothing, but even today I have still pain in the legs from the bicycle and this and that, you know, from the training pain, not bad pain, only because of the training. We have to come in again, and now first time real stair training. Yeah, and last time, maybe you can remember, I played street ball at the Tivoli, you know, at the swimming area. Where is the Tivoli? Yeah, here is the Tivoli, you know. Therein we played street ball, and at afternoon I moved up with my bike to 1900 meters to the Seegrube, you know. And next day also, and before we trained, and now we are here. Absolutely brutal. The goal is always 3 exercises what I do. To grapple all down in Shaolin style, that means on my hand and my feet. I always have a goal how often I will do it, by once or whatever, you know, and that I try to succeed. And I never failed, only once at demolition tower. All other ones I never failed, you know, in a video. When I have a goal, I try to succeed it. And then I make a style of push press up with the kettlebell, and they're also normally left-handed, one raw, you know, and the other raw on the other hand, and a complete round more, whatever, you know, depends what the goal is. And then I make the squats all up with the kettlebell, but that I do not that often, because when I drive the wide routes with the bicycle, the legs are drained and done, and then it makes no sense also to train now my legs when they still hurting, you know. And then tomorrow or so again a big route, that makes not that much sense, and then you have not the benefit out of it. You have to make it smart, but here to relax, you know, absolutely cool. And here I have it all, you know. I have a bar for the Australian pull-ups, what I make at the end, and I have the push-ups, what I can do. And here is really brutal. But now to the kettlebell, my warm-up, you know, warm-up is always joint mobility. That means I make circles to every joint. Other ones, yeah, I had to drive now with my bicycle and the heavy backpack with the kettlebell to drive here. You know, that is also, I have to do that, otherwise I cannot train here. Joint mobility means circles to every joint, almost every joint, to warm up, you know. It's maybe a little bit other to others, but to me it is important. The joints are the most important thing, you know. And when you warm it up, to me warm up is the most important part of the training, but it brings the less of the training. But it is the most important, because there you warm up the joints. The synovial fluid in English, I think, is getting more in the joints, you know, that you don't damage the joints, that they are ready for workout. And we need all joints, you know. It brings me nothing to warm up only on a bicycle and then make shoulder things, you know. To warm all this up, the heartbeat goes up, because then we go really to the limit. That means the temperature goes up, you know, and the flexibility goes up because we are warm. And so I make all of those joint mobility circles from up to down. Then I make a few squats, and then I watch if I'm warm or not, and then I start my training. That is the basic warm-up routine. And to walk down, that is what the Shaolin monks do and did, you know. And we had here in our country a man who brought the Shaolin monks to the whole wide world, you know. The Herbert Fechter is his name. He's now an older man. But he was the guy, when you have seen the Shaolin monks, I don't know, in the USA or in the other part in the world, over thousands of shows, I think, he has done this. He is the reason why we have seen the Shaolin monks to the wide public from here, you know, Herbert Fechter. And they run up to the Bodhidharma cave, you know, where the Bodhidharma was sitting in, I think, 9 years by meditating. When he left the cave, then the shadow was on the wall. That is the story behind. And they crawl all down. And Shaolin monks always had a type of body style, body shaping, what I liked, you know. That depends. When you are a bodybuilder and your hero is Ronnie Coleman, you know, or other guys nowadays, influencers, then you will make harder training than me, you know. But to me that was always great, or the physique of a Bruce Lee, and that helps me, you know. I'm a thin person. I told you I cannot lift that heavy weights, but even if I could, I would not do it, because I talked always with older people, and when they were 40, 50, 60, and they have done 20 years of strength training, really strength training, they all said, "Boah, if I would be younger, I would have made less weight, because then my joints would not hurt now." And that I always had in my mind, and so I make other style of training. And to me it is enjoyment to be here, to go to the limit, you know. I found a way to do that. Here I can go to the limit, but in a very safe way, you know. Of course I will not be strong, you know, when it comes to weights. And I will not compete in a 100-meter sprint, because then you have to lift heavy weights, you know. But that is more better for the joints, you know. And here now the kettlebell, yeah, and the Shaolin monks all crawl down, and you see that works out for decades, you know. That works out for decades. When you have watched Jack LaLanne, push-ups, you know, one of the greatest fitness pioneers in the game, with 90 years he still made push-ups on fingers, you know, over 90 years. And pull-ups, those are exercises which work out for decades, you know. And the kettlebell is also a great tool. And here I have another one today. Here I have one of the so-called newer generation kettlebells. You know, I had a lot of at home, over, yeah, around 300 I had, you know. And so this is a competition kettlebell, and here we have a hole. You see that? There is a hole in. And that means BVDKS, it is the name. That means Bundesverband Deutscher Kettlebell Sport, you know. In other words, in English, in the competition for German masterships, you know, they use that kettlebell. Very good, you know, 35 centimeter handle. Normally I have a 33, the older one style. Makes a bit of difference, you know. And with the hole in, that means the weight of the kettlebell is more to the grip, you know, more to the handle. Normally when the kettlebell is filled, the weight is down, and that makes a difference. And when you have the same weight, it can happen that the older style kettlebells are much harder to handle than the new ones, because you have here the weight and they have a other thing, even if it's the same weight, you know. And they have here, what is good, a wide thing, you know, not a small one like others. And that means it is better for the wrist, you know, when you have it in your hands. I show you that. That is, bam. Here you, yeah, now I have the jacket on, but that fits much more in, you know. But on the other side, my favorite kettlebell, always competition style, is the Martin kettlebell, what I have shown you. Wow, that is amazing. Now the workers come, hopefully not here. Wow, that would be now bad. But then wow, that would be now really, really bad. But that is the thing, you know, with the kettlebell. And the exercise is what I make. Now we will see if they come or not. Is a style of push press, but here it is a bit other, because you have different variations. Why I'm using that? Because to me, for the shoulder, you know, the shoulder is not made that you lift heavy weights for decades, you know. It's not made for this, and especially not real heavy weights. Depends what joint you have. Some have joints which they will never have a problem, and some will get very quick a problem. And the thing is, you know, with this first movement, what I take, I show you that. Wait, I show you that. And then we start our Battle Cat Army training. Watch out now. So, when I have the kettlebell, you know, wait. You know, I have it in my hand, and then I could make it by pressing, but that is the first movement, which is not the best way, you know, for the shoulder. And when you watch for how it is called, groups in workstations, you know, I don't know how it is called, but when you have a painter that in jobs, that I mean, when you have a painter who makes all the time painting in that position, most of them get problems in the shoulder. Why? Because they're always in that position where it is not good, you know. And here is the baddest position, in that way, in that height, you know. Here better, in front, better, but always to the side, and in the height there we have the less space in the joint. And here it always, then you get over years problems. When you train 2, 3, 4 years, you will have no problem. But over decades you get problems, you know. So you can make rotation things to help for this and that. And so I use a little bit of speed up, that I overcome this, and then I don't get the problem. Because you see a lot of people, they grind in this. I don't do that, you know? And to me, a push press, normally, you know, in kettlebell, you have your knees there. When you come from bodybuilding, you will think now crazy, but that is the style. You have the elbow in, and then you come up, you know. Wow. That is the thing. But I make it a bit of a normal bodybuilding style and also a kettlebell style. When I move up here, that is more difficult. I don't make this. I make this like a squat. You know, 25% of a squat, you know, from here, bam. So that means the legs, the ass is also there, and then from here to here, bam. I have the speed, you know, but from here I make all from the shoulder. So only the first movement I dry out of speed, and then the shoulder and the triceps makes the work, and that is very difficult. Because you can make it, other looks a little bit similar, you know, what I have shown you. When you make it this, bam, with the kettlebell, then you use all of your hips, you know, you have the elbow and the hips, and then you see that. When I now, boom, and now, so I have absolutely no strengthening thing in the shoulders, because my hip makes the speed up for the kettlebell. And by the jerk, you know, it is even more. when I'm here in, you know, the bone is in here, from the elbow, bam, I come up, and when I go down, bam, you see that, bam, then I have almost nothing in the shoulder. Of course you can work out with heavy weights, that also drains, but I want more of the tension training, you know, when I go up from here, and now, bam, the shoulder makes a complete different story, you know. Only when absolutely nothing goes anymore, then I use the technique with the bam, when I go up, you know. That is important to know, that is what I try. And when I crawl down, I have a bit of other technique than the Shaolin monks, because they crawl down like in a plank position, you know, like this. But I am much more to the body. Why? Because I always had problems in my back since a child, and that always hurted me, you know. Planks always hurted me. And yes, I was by therapists when I was a child, on and on and on. Planks always hurted much more. And this is my way, and that drains much more the legs. I swear you, the legs are burning when you crawl that in that way down. And the abs also have to work, and the shoulder, the triceps, very safe exercise. And then you make the push press, you know, push press. Also, wow, that is a complete full body style training, you know. And then the squats, believe me, the biceps is over then, you know. Even if you think, what biceps, yeah, but when you make then those lot of bicep things, the kettlebell gets so heavy that you cannot lift your arm up again, you know. And then come the pull-ups, you know, the Australian pull-ups. Then comes the push press. And that is the thing, you know. That is my mentality, my strategy behind this. You see, there is a lot of things. And with the kettlebell, a very healthy tool when you make it right and correct. And that is my style of training. And here I can push complete to the limit with the most less risk to get injured or to hurt your joints, you know. And I'm in the free nature, I can watch the people, and that makes absolutely fun, you know. And the full body is there. Heartbeat, strength, you know, strength. For me, for the stairs, the strength, and to get in shape for the body type, what I want, perfect way. So now, long talking, most people will have gone away. If you are still here, now we start. You know, I'm a non-monetization channel. I can give a shit if I talk 1 hour or 2 hours or only 5 minutes. It will not change anything for me. I am here because I like it. I have explained it, and now we do it. So I warm up, that I don't show, then we start in the exercise, crawling down. I will make one complete round to the rougher stairs, and then the second round down here. Then I will go up with the kettlebell, right-handed, left-handed, right, left, right, and then I try the same, the longer stairs. If it's not working out, I change it in the stairs and not on the etages, but I will try. My goal is for sure to make it left, right, but over 10 weeks, you know, first time the kettlebell for that stairs, I will see, and then we go on to the next exercises. Let's do it. Now I have warmed up, you know, a bit. Also, other factor is when you warm up, you get a feeling how is your day today, you know. Have you a good feeling, not? And otherwise is something hurting, then you know, oh shit, today I have a problem, I have to change the training. That is also a factor. But now we have forgotten the shadow boxing, but today very, very easy. I have no weights by me, I will not make full speed, you know. I will have to come in. That also takes out the energy for the next exercises, you know. But very relaxed this now, because with full speed first time is never a good option. And then, yeah, we will do it. No, never learned it, only do it for myself. But for example, I watch the greats, you know, and one thing is always Bernard Hopkins. To watch him by shadow boxing, that was always fantastic, you know. Always when one jab comes, two jabs given back, you know. And those movement, the leg workout. Absolutely a great thing to shadow box, you know. It's really a good way to strengthen the hands, you know. The leg workout, the coordination, you know. That is a thing, coordination for that is really, really heavy when to make this really correct, you know. But very good. But when the police drives here and sees you, then it's not a good idea. They think you are crazy. They will tell, hey, what you're doing here? You're a little bit on drugs or what, you know. But now I will crawl down. I have my hand gloves by me. I show you that. And then we will see. So hand gloves. I have very easy ones. Wait. Here I have them. Oh, that is here, you know, completely normal, and I have normal clothes on, you know. I am not a guy like nowadays where you always have to functional training, this, that, functional clothes, and only with that you can do it and blah blah blah. No, normal clothes. That is the thing. So we have to walk them up. Yeah, and then I will see. I will crawl all down, and that is heavy enough for the first time. And yeah, so there you need it all. And if you go to the limit here, that training will never get easy, never ever. Even if you are complete at your peak, now I have to come in, but even when you are at the top of your game, even there it will never be easy. That will challenge you to the limit. You cannot say, boy, now I'm so drained, I can do that now. No, but it will not get easy. That is also what I love. You have to challenge you here mentally. Very important. Without the mental toughness, you reach nothing here, you know. Last year I have seen a guy and known a guy who was in the Olympic in the national team for gymnastics, you know. So very strong. But believe me, with the stairs, even this guy would get a real problem. By the demolition tower, when you come to the top of the game, no chance when you don't train this, you know. But now I'm excited. I move up and then we see what will go. Oh, excitement comes now. But tough, very tough. I have no idea. That is also. It is a surprise. Does it work out or not, you know? Does this work out or not? Oh. So now we check it out, you know. Oh, first time here. That is nice. Last year when I made the hardest training, the people from the red light district were shouting up, shut your mouth up, you know that. When I shouted down here, halt's Maul, verpiss dich recht, you know. So we go on. Wow. Wow. The most part was in the lower back now. Not pain, but the strength in the abs is not there like on other days. The hands were good, you know. The bicycling, you know. When you drive downwards or up, you always have to hold, you know. That also helps. Or those steep parts, you have to press in so much. And we did a little bit with kettlebells, but that now, but very good. And now this down, and then we will see, you know, all of that down. And I was very slow now because you can slip out when you do fast. Always be careful, you know. So we go on. And you know what condition you get when you have to move up always. Also this is training, you know. Move up all the time. There you also feel your legs and the heartbeat, you know. And also a reason, I tell you other story. My grandmother was 90 years old, you know. And believe me, why? She never made sports, you know. But one thing was, we had no elevator at home. That means every time to the second etage walking stairs. And that she did every day for 1, 2 times or 3 times a day. You know, and that helps that the heartbeat goes up, the legs, and that you have longevity, you know. That was cool. Now a little break. But now it gets more tough, you know. That is also so challenging. Because when you think, well, now I have done the first exercise, then you think, great, no, then comes the next one and that is even harder. But now, you know, that was nothing to the limit. That was only once and once now. But more is not a wise decision. But now, that is the most challenging part of today for me. You know, because here, the heartbeat gets a limitation. The shoulder and the legs. The legs also, because, you know, they are burning, especially when we drove up to the Seegrube, you know, 1,900 meters with one hand, you know. But here that goes. Left, right, doesn't matter what side. Left, right, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs. Also 5 etages. And then the difficult part starts, the aluminium stairs. The first one are lower, but the next one, you know, 4 etages, and especially the 2 last where the sun is in now, they are absolutely brutal, you know. And I don't know if I have to change from left to right hand, but it is now to the limit. There I will come to the limit, and now is my way. Do I fail or not today? Have I the trust in me that I can do it today or not? Yeah, and the camera, I have one camera now. But I will, you know, I have to walk up again. You know how many stairs and how often you are doing that. But I will bring on the camera on there, because it is better when you see me at the end of the exercise and not at the beginning. Also now the heartbeat goes up again, the legs. Whew. You know. And that is the full body program to me. Endurance. And you know, and I have no interest in a heartbeat and this and that and blah blah blah, you know. Uninteresting to me. I know if it gets heavy or not. I have told this once, you know. And I don't make things where I go to 220 plus heartbeat or whatever your heartbeat can become at the highest point, you know. This is something what is for sure not the best way, you know, for longevity. But now we have to do it. Be careful that you don't space the camera here, because when people walk and you are down, they fall over. So I do it always on one side, and then we will see, you know. So the first part you will not see now. So from here without the gloves, and now we do it. Kim. Yes. We made it. But all good. Lighter than expected. Little walking. Boah, what a nice kettlebell workout. And I made the wrong entrance. I have seen it right now, the left hand more often at the end instead of the right hand. But I tell you, wise decision, because this kettlebell feels lighter of the weight. What I told you, more weight up on here than my other one that is much heavier, even if it's the same weight. But you know, no shadow boxing with weights, no full speed, only once to grab it down. That makes also a huge difference, because when you do that also, then complete a different story, you know. But good. Legs were a bit shaky, shoulder, but was nice. Now I have to drag my kettlebell down again. We make the one-handed farmer walk, you know, to come down for the ab and grip strength, you know. But I show you other thing. I hold the kettlebell, you know, competition style, but always this. I like that position, never this or never this, you know. I like it always one finger goes over, you see that? Because from the control that it don't slips me out if something happens, gives me safety, and they are relaxed, you know. And I have my elbow never in here, because that would give me rest. I have it out. That makes it much more difficult, you know. These are small details. And how people walking up, or no, they're only watching. Or pensionists. Are they brave or not? Do they walk up here? Cool training for older generation. Or no, they're not coming. Too much stairs, you know. Yeah, very cool. And now I make the Australian pull-ups. 20 has to go for sure, I hope. 30 would be a goal, but 20 is now that what I think is possible. First training after 10 weeks, stairs training, you know, not bicycle training, but the stairs training. Yeah, and you have seen that kettlebell with the light kettlebell, that workout helped out for this. What I made in the park, the 10 repetition kettlebell system, have I created, you know, or not, but it came to my mind. 10 repetitions all the time, different exercises for 30-40 minutes, and also that light training helps you for here, you know. That was cool thing. Yeah. So little break, and then here perfect, but the grass is a little bit high, you know. That is the only thing, but no problem. Or I make it this time here, it is better here. I have more free space, you know. But cool thing, little break, then we go on. Ding dong, ding dong. The bells are ringing again. You hear it? The bells. So now with my hand gloves, but you know, I'm open up from kettlebell all the time and from tennis, but it's only more comfortable, you know, because when you are one time open, then it needs so long that it closes. So only a wise decision, you know, what I do. Yeah. And now here we make them. Make it from here. So perfect. think 30. Yeah, feel also nice. But don't forget, that was the easy part to entrance, you know. No weights for shadow box, no real speed. When you do that, you know, people forget this. Most have no speed. They have never done this. Then they make one exercise, yeah, it was not that difficult, yeah. Make the shadow boxing. Then it becomes a complete other story, you know. Now, the push-ups, now, there will not go many, of course. We entered in the Trimm-dich part, the kettlebell, the bicycling, and basketball, street ball. That it was. And after 10 weeks, yeah, over 10 weeks, you know, not one thing done because of the 2 illnesses. So, yeah. But you see, I made 3 weeks in progression. 3 weeks of walking, you know. I walked a half an hour in the parks, what I've shown you, you know. Then 1 hour, 3-4 hours a day walking, you know. Then uphill walking. Then I started with the bicycle to drive only in the city, you know. But that is not a real training. But also this for 2-3 weeks, when you do it 2-3 hours a day, that also helps now that this was a little bit easy. If I would have done nothing, then this would be now complete other story, you know. And the light kettlebell workout. And so here I was good in, and the next time we can go more to the limit. And that is the best way to do it. And then hopefully we will conquer Demolition Tower. But that is a different story, you know. When you think now, yeah, but you have made now these stairs that all looked easy. That now is maybe 10% what you need at Demolition Tower, you know. 10% what I have done now, you know. 90% we need much more to conquer that, you know. That means so much training. Drive up the highest mountains with the bicycle because the legs are so important. The endurance with the heartbeat, because when that happens here, you are over, you know. And the legs, because even if people don't believe it, but when you crawl down for so long, the legs are done, you know. They are done because they are always in a position, and then you feel that they are shaking then, you know. And the bicycle training to the mountains, the steepest part, you know, up to 35%, also from the holding, because that helps you, you know. This is the same position when you hold the bicycle and do that for 5, 6, 7 hours a day when I drive. What I need here, the endurance, you know, when you crawl down. And so all comes together. And now a few push-ups, there will go not many, but I make them very slow, very deep, with nose to the ground, you know. And yeah. And then we have done it. Then I drive home. I eat something, what I have at home, not much. And then I go playing street ball, because that is the relaxed part today. But now push-ups. Now we know we need those, you know. I have no towel by me, and I have no backpack, what I normally have. So we help out that we don't get open. Because here you can get open up. So good position. Now we are done. Yeah, and I have to cut in once again, because when I go up, you know, sometimes it depends how steep, how wide the stairs are. I have always different stairs. That is also important, because when you do always the same stairs, you get used to those stairs, but you need different variations, different heights, different styles. And for example, when stairs are not that long, you know, and if you are with your heels out, then of course the knees goes a little bit more forward. That all depends, you know, different stairs, different styles, important, you know. And now we have also forgotten to make some pull-ups, but here I cannot make them. I drive the nearest station, there we have a bar, and I make some pull-ups, last set. So my friends, now the real bar was full. All kindergarten kids before the bar, beside no chance, groups of kindergarten kids. So now the only station what comes now is a park where I have trained the 80s, 90s style, how we did it in a normal backyard court. And what have I found? The basketball, have you seen it? A Nike ball. You see? The Nike EuroLeague basketball. You see the channel design? But training. And here is a tool what I have always used when nothing goes. Here you can make it. Not the best option, but better than nothing for one set. Yeah, but they will always kick you out, you know. That was the story in the 90s. When you entered in another backyard, they always shout at you, you have to leave, you know. These are the carpet things where normally do the carpet, but now the LRG comes. And they get less and less and less. You don't find them anymore. But they were great, you know. But few pull-ups, I don't know, maybe 2-3 people will laugh now, you know, when they see me here. I'm filming 2 or 3 pull-ups, but we have done all this. And yeah, last set after the training. So, and that was it, but always be careful, because those things can split the route and fall into your eye, you know. Yeah, and now you see me at the end of the stairs. Yeah, fine, nice training to come in. Was easier than expected, all done right the last weeks. And now home, now go play street ball. I will drive to the other side of the city. And yeah, but before I have to drive home with that. But feel very fresh now, you know, more fresher than before, you know. But was a short training, nice training, enjoyed it. And now I have a positive mentality for the next training sessions. There we can take the other kettlebell and make more. And that is a good sign, you know. So, Betty Cat Army says bye. We see us at afternoon or in an hour. Till then, bye and ciao.